There we go. Welcome in, everyone. Happy to see you. Hello, I'm Chef JT. Give me a moment to fix and correct all the rest of the audio settings that got defaulted by Windows. Cool. So yeah, welcome in. Let's do some coffee. Hi there, JK. They're going to be doing a nice Sunday dinner tonight. Going to be doing fondant potatoes, which are potatoes that are essentially pan-seared and then simmered in pan with butter, herbs, stock. They just take on those liquids as they cook and soften. But they're amazing. I've never really made these on stream before, so... And then I'm going to do a cauliflower gratin. I've got cheddar cauliflower, which is the orange-yellow cauliflower that looks like it's cheddar colored. And we're going to put some cheddar in the gratin, so it's cheddar cauliflower cheddar gratin. I didn't start the timer. Hi, Soph. Welcome. Hova. Where's my poor mug? It's over here. Let me grab that. And my water glass while I'm at it. Never store your spoons in with the ingredients. It's a horrible plan. This song has such wake up, workout, victory vibes. And then it changes. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Appreciate your company. Cheers. Alright, let's start off with our pork here. Let's get our pork situated. Here is our rib roast for the evening. I made 2 or 3 of these when I broke down that half pig. Welcome in, Nan Raider. Not 100% this is completely defrosted at this point. Should be pretty close though. Oh yeah, it's not completely defrosted yet. Now let's see here. Clean up tips there a little bit from what I left there. I'll leave that there too. I'm going to leave the meat on the bones. You can strip these down pretty well if you use some twine and tie it to something very secure and bull. A lot of places I have seen do this. I don't suggest doing this. Don't say that I suggested this when you do it and your boss is pissed. But a lot of places I see put a tightening slip knot on this bone around here. They'll cut in between them, and they'll cut the meat up to the bone, and then tie a tightening self knot onto it. And then the other end of the twine, they'll tie to the base of their sink. And just yank. I have worked for people who have done such things. I don't suggest you do that yourself. Very much don't suggest you do that in a home kitchen where, you know, you're likely to just rip the faucet off of the counter and just have water shooting out of your... Like, it is not a smart plan. But it is what I've seen done in multiple locations. I'm gonna leave fat on there. I think we're golden with all that. That's looking great. Can't really clean up the bones well because these ones cut in. And so I think I'm just going to dry season this a bit. We'll use up the last of this lemon pepper seasoning that I made ages ago. That is lemon pepper, sugar, salt. Hi, Splits. Philadelphia? Did I miss that we have people from Philadelphia in chat? Rocky in my chat? I haven't bothered with the skins and stuff on the backside, so I'm not going to bother seasoning the backside either. I'm running a little tight on seasoning here anyways, but... The bone section here is also what is likely to get the most heat because I can roast it like this for quite a while with it not getting direct heat contact. You can get a lot of indirect heat with it sitting like that. Ah. Drop the last of that seasoning on there. One of my bachelor's classmates is in Philly these days. I don't know exactly where he's living, and I don't know exactly what he was doing. He used to be running a coffee shop. And we're just gonna let that sit like that for now. Let it air dry, come up to room temp. We'll start working on some other stuffs. Potatoes first or gratin first? Let's do potatoes. Let's clean up the potatoes first. And then we'll get into the cheddar cauliflower, cheddar gratin. Bottom of the bag potatoes tonight. End of the mini bags too, because I got big bags to replace them. I just haven't done so yet. So now I'm going to go ahead and peel all of these. I'm not usually big on peeling potatoes, but you sort of got to do that for fondant. Get some water in a bowl here so the ones that are peeled don't oxidize on me. With cool water in it, not hot, clean things water. No wine or whiskey tonight. I was strongly debating wine tonight, but I decided to hold off on it. I bought it entirely. This is probably the majority of their business model anyways. Bought it for the novelty alone. Orange wine. But I'm not going to brave that one tonight. That'll have to be a future thing. I also picked up a German Riesling in my more recent bottle purchases. But I have one more red in the counter over there that I haven't drank already that's a couple months old. And I typically just buy what's considered supermarket wine, which is bottles that are not really intended to be aged. Though I should change that, though. I should start buying a couple of bottles to age. It's basically been since 2020 since I've been out doing much wine tasting. I did go out a little bit in 2020 and try and support the winemakers when no one else was leaving the house. Or more accurately, support the support staff that run the vineyards that were sitting there without any tips all year. Sorry to hear that, Splits. Don't really know how to respond to that one because I've never been great with it myself. What, relationships working out, Splits? Yeah, it is. I don't know if that's what you actually meant, but it's true. Ad break. Oh, I think they realize it. I mean, men are just as cruel at times to women. Absolutely. So now I'm going to sort of flatten these to be relatively the same thickness and have somewhat of a flat side for searing. I don't want to take too much potato off though, especially since I don't really have plans to use the scraps. If I was in a restaurant, you have all sorts of options to use any of your square spare tater scraps. I've come to the decision that I'm of an age where I don't really want a family or kids anymore, and I'm sort of having troubles coming to terms with it. Alright, so now our potatoes are nicely cleaned up. We'll throw those back on the water until we're ready to get cooking with those. I think we'll get our gratin all together here first before I get on doing the potatoes. Water off of this. Yep, splits. Though honestly, if you're at the stage of giving her gifts and you're not getting anything back in return, you're because to me, gifts are either she knows what's up or you're already friend zoned and you don't know. Or actually, the C answer there is there are people that just straight up take advantage of people that are like that and will take you know, the ones that show up to a first date with guests, or you're gonna pay for all of this, right? Alright, so we're gonna start a bechamel over here. Is that enough butter? That's questionably enough butter. Yeah, but dating apps are all trash these days. I miss the days of Hot or Not, when it was actually like a decent connection site. Before it got absolutely memed out and then destroyed by corporate America. Corporate Match. That can go for most of the internet, though. The internet was always better when it was younger and less regulated. Though we had net neutrality. That I'd like to still have. You know, I haven't done tests to see how they do comparatively. I've sort of gone to the system of buying local clover butter when I find it on sale, and then buying Kerrygold cheaply in bulk at the warehouse store, and then freezing it so that I always have butter in the house if I need it. A little half and half action in there with our butter and flour roux. About 2 tablespoons of butter, equal amount of flour by weight, although I eyeballed it. And water and cream, or half and half, or whatever dairy you got around, until you get the thickness you like for it. We're close. It's a little too thick still, especially after it cooks through. But this is close to where I want it to finish. I'm going to go ahead and add considerably more water to this. That was at least a 1/4 cup there. I'm going to switch to a whisk here and make sure we get any of those lumps out. Use a coated whisk so we don't have any gray color from metal on metal action. When I was at the Culinary Institute, they were big on coated whisks. And, you know, I had several instructors tell me the plights of gray and A's and how you have to use a coated whisk, otherwise you're going to be beating eggs and oil in a pan with a metal whisk and it turns gray. Which it does a little bit. Especially if you've got a warm pan, pot, bowl. Turn the heat down on that a bit to a simmer. Black pepper. MSG. Salt. Whisk that all into the roux, or what's our thin bechamel at this point. Yeah, that's sort of my problem with them too. So if I've gone through way too many from them wearing out, and they wear out so quickly because it's what is wearing out. It's very thin, and it's usually backed by a metal rod right behind it. And so as soon as they break through them, they start getting junk caught in them and being nasty. I have been exploring many different types of whisks since then. I don't use them nearly as much. You grow nasturtiums? I don't have to do that here because there's local farmers that do that. That's quite nice. I should definitely add a little bit of acid to this of some sort. First thing in the door, probably for a good reason. Citrus champagne vinegar. Speaking of plant biology, nice color on that. Even the stems on this. Wonder if they fed. It's almost like there's a ring around there at the end of it. It's almost like they may have fed it something to up its keratin. Like, it's a natural color, don't get me wrong. That could be perfectly natural. But sneaky brain to me says they gave it some chemical that boosted it. There, it's a lot more visible with this one. How there's like essentially a ring where, like a tree ring. Yeah, let's just get rid of all the riffraff. But I'm not going to throw away the whole stem, especially since we're going to do a gratin. I'm trying to get rid of the green. Don't want the beater. Dicing these up pretty small. Not completely ricing the cauliflower, but I am doing it decently. Also, speaking of Philly, the one person that I think of from college as being from Philly is now in Washington. After spending much of the time since college in the South, it's strange where people choose to go out over time. It sounds like that's happened a lot with the people that went to Texas or coming back. Austin real estate prices have been going down. Not the taxes, but the real estate. That said, Texas does seem to be an interesting place for a lot of corporations these days. A lot of businesses seem to be choosing it over Delaware. Let's see what we got over here. Bubbling pot back here. We're not burning back here, are we? No. Well, that's the other thing, is I'm confused on where I would even go if I were to go from here. Like, I've lived in Phoenix for half a year, through at least the winter. I'm okay with heat. I grew up with cold. I'm not a big fan of cold, but I can do it. But you look at the heat indexes that they list on realtor sites for homes, and you look at what's projected over the next 30 years, where, like, all the way up to, like, southern Michigan, you're looking at multiple 110 degree days. Average. And it's not like those places are really going to be getting warmer that time. Like, it's going to be more volatile than, from what I'm reading. I am in no way a expert on this, but like I said, oh, there's things that people in Phoenix just, and that was 20 plus years ago when I was there. There were things that you just didn't do. Like, you don't buy black car interiors. You don't, like, they all have the fold-out thingies. What do I want to roast this in tonight? It's one of the things, like, I know it'd be worse elsewhere in the world, but it's one of the things that irritates me about here. Is, like, one of the key things that I loved about Sonoma County, I still love, but initially got me to love Sonoma County, was the climate is just, like, there's so many microclimates here, and so if you want hot weather, you can have hot weather here too, but there's so many places that get that cool ocean, just constant 70, and it's no longer that anymore. It's more like what I grew up with in the Midwest, where we get regular spikes in the 80s and 90s, and hotter. We've seen hundreds a couple of times since I've been here. It's just, no thank you. Get out of the package. Well, that was one of the things that's sort of in my head there, Dances, is because I've talked about this before. I'm always sort of looking for... I rent this place, and so I've always sort of been looking for something for myself. And it changes so much, the building codes from places to places. Like, you look at realty listings for California and parts of Washington, and that you'll have, like, detailed service listings of, like, maintenance on the water heater, or ridiculous detail like that, which only comes from heavy regulation. And then there's other ones where there's no rules at all, in the middle of nowhere. But these heat swings, like, that was like northern, I was talking about Midwest with that 110. It's going to be even more down south. Like, we're going to be getting, excuse me, we're going to be getting even hotter in the south, and that's like, you know, most building materials, I mean, I'm, again, not an expert, but I think most of those are like up to 120 degrees or so. And we're going to start having, like, things fail on homes in these extreme heat locations. That's if these predictions, like, again, you know, grain of salt with all of this. You know? So we'll add in some American cheese here to melt in with this. You know what? Why don't we just do the gratin in the cast iron? Why am I using a whole nother container? Let's just do it in this. We don't need to get this dirty. Or dirtier than I already have. Yeah, that's a tough one when you're picking places too, is the old ones you get into like plaster walls and stuff like that. If you're looking like northeast and stuff like that especially, you'll get like plastered walls and stuff like that, where if you want to do any electrical changes you have to like tear out the walls. And it's not a fun project tearing out those walls either. Nice, Michael. Welcome in. Alright, so that all melted in there nicely. Sorry I didn't give you a close-up of me melting the cheese in there, but there's a whole bunch of American cheese in that now. And I'm going to take all this and throw it into that. Minus the whisk. Now we'll switch back to the spoon. Salt for our cauliflower. We got all the other good stuff in there. Let's give this a mix up together. That's looking cheesy delicious. Gonna add a half cup of water to that. So now at this point we started off by making a roux. We added some half and half to that roux, some water, some seasonings. We thickened that up and cooked the flour flavor out of the roux. We've added our cheddar color cauliflower and American cheese in there to melt into the sauce. And last up, before this goes into the oven, I'm going to cut the heat on that and let that continue to cook a little bit with residual heat. I'm going to take some of the last of this cheddar cheese that I have, shred that up, mix that with a little breadcrumb on top. Make sure that's all nicely mixed. Cool. A little thin, but we're going to be putting this into the oven, and so it's going to be thickened up a little bit. Might as well start preheating our oven here for things. I'm going to give this a light layer of breadcrumb over the top. Sort of almost making a breadcrumb raft here for our cheese, which cheese will also act as a raft, but I'd rather the cheese show off than the breadcrumbs. And then we try and go even with the cheese. And that's a solid 3 ounces of cheese, of cheddar. You, of course, can get fancy with this. You can do all sorts of other fancy vinegars instead of the little splash of lemon and champagne vinegar that I use. Or you can use all sorts of wines, or Gouda cheeses, or red wine infused cheese, or whatever you want. You know, that's actually the sad thing, Splits, is that if you look at movies and TV and what movie and TV, especially relationship shows, like, they all cheat on everyone. Everyone cheats in movies. Everyone cheats in movies. Okay, so now this is chilling, waiting for our oven to preheat and for me ready to throw that in the oven. We're going to switch over to doing our taters here next. We'll do that over there on the other side of the counter table here, or range. So we're just going to give the potatoes a quick pat dry so we don't have to cook off all the water that they've been soaking in. But like, all the classics, they're all cheating on each other. It doesn't, like, all of them. Oh, it was so cute how they met on the airplane. You know, one was married and the other one was a multi-year relationship. Butter. Butter. Salt. Sadly, no. Another month or two until we're doing lamb and coronation chicken. I want that a nice sear temp, not too hot. We're gonna have to cook these potatoes a while to make them nice and soft in the interior. That joke would be better if it was, I used to have a job at a calendar factory, but I took a few days off and they fired me. Be shorter too. Yeah. No, it's completely solid. Pretty sure there used to be an English chip shop that used to stream. That was a long time. It's been a long time since I heard about them. I don't know if they're still doing their thing or not. Melting stock up in the top corner of the stove. That's a bag of pork stock with a whole bunch of fat, which will be fine for our gravy tonight. See how we're doing here with color. I think we're good with that. Okay, now I have to look up salmon Kubiak. Oh, it's Salmon Wellington. I knew the name was familiar to me. I'm not excited by Wellingtons. They're a science trick. You know, you gotta have the perfect amount of Dexel around your whatever you're stuffing so that you don't get a messed up pastry, and the pastry's gotta be just perfect, and your temperature's gotta be just perfect. And they're amazing if you go to a place that's set up to do them perfect, like, you know, Gordon Ramsay places, you know, his Wellington and all that. But they're really, yeah, they're one of those. It's sort of a bummer about food. I've sort of been having this realization, is that so much food is produced to be sold. It's produced to be marketed. And what makes it sellable is, you know, they have a perfect system set up for it. You know, whether it's French fries or it's filet mignon. Gonna add a bit of soy sauce in here, which may not be happy with all that butter and oil. And stock. And we start braising. I am going to go ahead and throw our cauliflower gratin into the oven. Yeah, it's saying it's at temp now anyways. Perfect. Bots listening to us chat. I said filet mignon, and look what we get in the scramble. That was totally not a coincidence. Joking aside, that is actually true for the polls in Discord. You'll note that today's poll was more intricate about smoking after, not the last poll, but the poll before that, everyone voted that smoking was their favorite technique. It is going into, the formulation of those polls is going into AI with the history of what chat has previously answered. It's also listening to chat and my captions. Definitely not a relationship expert, but I would say that I think there's probably as many different types of relationships as there are people, and what percentage work and don't. Whatever works with the two people. There's definitely all sorts of relationships too. Like one of the guys that I knew when I was working at farmers markets here, he was solidly in his 70s, but his parents were still alive. One or both of his parents were still alive. Man had money, and so he is basically married. He's been with the same lady for probably decades. I'm about to go in an ad here. And because he had money, he bought 2 properties next door to each other. So they're not married, but they live next door because parents don't approve of the marriage. Then you get into other fun things, like, say, you have a relationship with someone, have a kid with someone, and then it doesn't work out. You know how that kid with that other person, yes, that's obligation, different part of the conversation. But in many cases, whether you're the parent that's actually handling the child or you're not, you're likely stuck in that state legally. And so you get a job somewhere else. I gotta stay here legally because of the kid, not whether or not you want to stay there for the kid. Or your new boyfriend gets a new job somewhere else and he wants to move to work there and you can't. I'm switching pans here on the potatoes. I can go with a smaller pan now. Flame on there. You're now gonna get wiped out, so we can use you to roast our pork in. Not to cook our pork in, to roast it. Is the glass clanging in this song distracting? I find it a little distracting. Alright, we're going to start heating the pan up here to max smoke to sear our pork. Turning the flame a little bit down on the potatoes. They don't need to be boiling that hot, but we do want to reduce that liquid down to essentially nothing. Sunflower oil in the pan that I'm going to be searing the pork in, so that's going to get up 500-ish before it starts smoking properly. Starting to get a light smoke there. I'm getting close. I'm going to start by searing the fat cap here on our mini roast. Next we'll start heating up those bones. I'm just going to do this until I just start to see the meat turn on the bottom there where it's right up against the bone, which is going to take a while because the bones, they take a while to heat up. They're big heat sinks. Welcome in, Dorito. How do? Be doing well. I be doing well. We got some beautiful looking taters there, bubbling away in the bottom corner. We got some stock seated up above that. And we got our two-bone pork roast getting a sear here on the stove. And I am starting to see a little color there, like I said. So we're going to give this its first turn onto its first side. I've also got a cheddar cauliflower, so the yellow-orange cauliflower. I'm doing a cheddar cauliflower cheddar gratin. And that's in the oven baking too. I'm hopeful I'm not going to completely destroy this pan searing this. Because I want to make my sauce. I want to make a gravy. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make a gravy in that pan. This pan is getting some work. That's all you got time for. Why, like, anything you make at home is better than anything you DoorDash. I don't care what you eat. Well, we'll leave that over there and try and get a little color on the side there. It is not searing well on the other side, and it's looking incredibly dark there, but it's not as that dark in real life. Thank you for the follow. Okay, I'm done with that pan. We're going to go over here. Not quite squeeze it in there. So I guess we're just going in with the pan just like that. And we're going to finish this in the oven. The less hands that touch your food, the healthier it is for you. The less fast food people that didn't wash their hands after going to the bathroom. The DoorDash guy that, went to the bathroom and then picked your food up and then rubbed it all over his car. Their car. Or you could just make it at home. Take you the same amount of time. You're going to wait just as long. Even if you're just boiling water to make ramen, pasta, 50 other things. But we're in a little bit of a pause here, so I think we're going to go to a little bit of a use the flavor packets to make the car. Yummy. Well, now you're sounding all fancy. You're adding stuff to your ramen. It's not just like you be cooking. Well, we got a good 10-minute break here at least. Let me throw I should have thrown this in there when I put it in there initially, but I'm going to throw a temp probe into the pork. We're going to take a little AFK while this roasts in the oven. Let's do 135. So that's going to take us at least 10 minutes. The probe that I just put in there, oh, you can't quite see that. Move the camera over a little bit so you can see the number here. There we go. We have 59 there in the corner. That is the current temperature probe temp in the center of that pork roast. And it's in a 350 oven along with our gratin. And we're going to wait until that's 130-ish. Ooh. I've never gone and made, I make pasta all the time, but I've never made ramen. I've never gone through the whole bake the baking soda or buy special, basic stuff to make the ramen. And while I think my pasta queen could probably handle it, it's certainly not suited for full-on ramen creation. So as I was saying earlier, I think we're going to take a little bit of an AFK here while this bakes and things cook. Let's see what we got here in this pan. Is this too dark to use? Yeah, it's too dark. So I might just thicken the stock in the top of the window instead of making a proper gravy tonight. Anyways, I'm going to take about 10 minutes here, and I will see all your lovely faces back here in about 10 minutes.
Hello, may I come in? I am Chef Boyardi, Perhaps you have seen my picture on Chef Boyardee products at your grocer's. Today I want to tell you about a wonderful dinner for three. A dinner that only costs about 15 cents a serving. It's my own Chef Boyardee spaghetti dinner with meat sauce or mushroom sauce. It all comes in one carton. A full half pound of tender, quick-cooking spaghetti, 10 full ounces of rich, tasty sauce, and to top it off, a whole can of zippy grated cheese. A wonderful food. So ask your grocer for Chef Boyardee spaghetti dinner with meat or mushroom sauce, won't you? And look for other Chef Boyardee's products. They're also delicious, they're also nourishing, and they help keep the cost of your meals down. Chef Boyardee's products are at best grocers.
Ask for Chef Boyardee's spaghetti dinner. Only about 15 cents a serving.
Say, do you remember this old milk glass setting hen? Well, you know, milk glass was an early American favorite. And when the folks in the old days wanted something really delightful, they'd take one of their milk glass goblets and pour some very fine wine right into it. Well, now, you know, it's Welch's wine that is keeping this wonderful tradition alive. A real wine for folks who really want the best. Yes, today's answer to this age-old family tradition is Welch's family wine, the answer to warm hospitality and really gracious living, and the wine that so many Americans enjoy these wintry days. You know, there is very good reason for this ever-increasing popularity of Welch's wine. Now, you folks know that all sweet Concord kosher wines are made from grape juice, and everybody knows who has been making the very finest grape juice for the past 85 years. Welch's, of course. And that's right, the only kosher wine made from Welch's grape juice is naturally Welch's kosher wine. Now, when you want the best in grape juice, you buy Welch's. So, doesn't it make sense then, if you want the best and most delicious kosher wine, you insist on Welch's family wine? You get several bottles tomorrow. Try the half-gallon size. You enjoy the wine of all occasions. That's right, when it comes to wine, you'll do well to insist on Welch's.
A pleasure, Milton. In just a moment, we'll see how well Milton does at the Pentagon. But if you want to see busy hands at your house, just you offer this lively Christmas party dip that's so good to serve with king-size Fritos corn chips. Just follow the recipe right on the Fritos package. Of course, it calls for the famous Philadelphia brand cream cheese, an 8-ounce package, which we blended with 2 tablespoons of milk till it's nice and smooth, like so. Then come 2 tablespoons of Kraft cream-style horseradish for zesty flavor, a 1/4 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, and finally, a dash of salt. And we'll blend our Philly mixture again. And when party time comes, let the folks enjoy this wonderful Philly horseradish dip with crisp king-size Fritos. There are those busy hands. Just remember, you make the best-tasting dips with the freshest-tasting cream cheese you can buy. Philadelphia brand cream cheese, made only by Kraft.
If you've ever been to Venice, you remember the gondolas and the picturesque waterways. And you remember the food, too. Superb food, prepared with that very special Italian touch. The same special Italian touch that Chef Boyardee sauce with meat can give to your meals over here. Because the recipe for this tangy sauce has been brought over from Italy by this famous Italian chef. Chef Boyardee sauce with meat is made from juicy, sun-ripened tomatoes and tender, quality beef, simmered in a spicy sauce that makes a rice and cheese loaf, a casserole, or a spaghetti dish a real Italian-style dish. So when you'd like to add that special Italian touch to your dinner, do it with Chef Boyardee sauce with meat. Try Chef Boyardee sauce with mushrooms, too. Both are prepared from the chef's own Italian recipe.
Yes, sir. If you want real entertainment, the best place to find it is in front of a General Electric Black Daylight big-as-life television set. Sports, comedy, drama, news, music. Yes, they're all yours, merely at the turn of a dial. This model has a big 16-inch black rectangular tube that lets you see everything that the camera sees, true to life and as big as life. Sparkling contrast and sharp focus give you pictures of such clarity that you feel you're right there on the scene. The cabinet, designed and constructed by America's leading cabinet makers, fits gracefully into any type of room. Genuine mahogany veneers, hand-rubbed for lasting beauty and durability, are just one example of the painstaking attention to every detail, which makes this cabinet one that you'll be proud to have in your home. The precision engineering and careful assembly techniques used in making this General Electric black daylight television set are your assurance of television at its finest. See it in operation at your General Electric dealers tomorrow. And when you see it, well, you'll know that you're seeing the best.
Well, no wonder my laundry bill is so high. All those napkins last week.
Doeskin.
What?
You should use Doeskin dinner napkins.
Paper napkins? Oh, no.
I don't mean thin little paper napkins, but Doeskin dinner napkins. You'll love them.
Everybody loves Doeskin dinner napkins. These soft linen-like napkins are two-ply in smart formal fold, in white and in beautiful pastel colors. And Doeskin dinner napkins are big. They cover your whole lap, and they stay put. What's more, they last throughout the meal, and they leave no lint.
But they are nice. And they would save my linen.
They save you money, too. Doeskin dinner napkins cost only 49 cents for 5 dozen. That's a fraction of a penny apiece.
All right, Dottie.
You'll find Doeskin dinner napkins, Doeskin facial tissues, and other Doeskin products at your favorite grocery, supermarket, department store, or drugstore. Look for the brown dispenser box.
Doeskin.
What? Keeping the coffee in the icebox?
Yes, Mr. Jones, it's a new kind of coffee, roasted by a new secret process. Hence, this new none-such coffee has a different flavor, a flavor preserved by vacuum packing, the flavor retained by refrigeration after the jar has been opened. Just taste it. You can't miss that delicate aroma, that clean, mellow taste. Yes, in cooking, the way to a man's heart is most of all through the coffee pot. In every jar, you'll find 3 special pointers, valuable in all methods of making coffee. Try new none-such coffee now. Use half the jar. If not 100% satisfied, get all your money back from your grocer without argument. Special for movie week, only 28 cents a pound, plus 3 cents refundable deposit on the jar.
Alexis Lachine wines are full of flavor. Alexis Lachine wines are dry. Alexis Lachine wines are mellow. Drink an Alexis Lachine wine with any kind of food. Or anytime you feel like relaxing with a drink. Alexis Lachine, fine French wines.
It's the newest, most exciting sound in town. It's a General Electric blender that's going around. Completely new from base to lid. Take it apart, see what they did. The non-skid base is the lowest you'll ever see.
The decanter has a 36-ounce blending capacity.
The non-spill lid is really smart. For blending convenience, it comes apart. Add additional ingredients, if you will. Look, no splash, see no spill. Put them all together and you know it's true. The General Electric blender is best for you. If you want to know another reason why,
it's only 10 1/2 inches high.
Stores easily on the counter or on a shelf. There's 1,000 things you can make yourself.
Make party spreads,
grate cabbage heads, blend the meatloaf for a family of 8. Make ice-cold drinks you'll appreciate. Now's the time for you to buy the General Electric blender.
Did he say only 10 1/2 inches high?
Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's get some music going again. So let's look at the stove here. We've got our dirty pan here that we used for searing our pork. Our pork is now up to 88 degrees internal temp. So we still got a ways to go on that. I am going to get rid of this oil and clean up the pan quickly. Hey, Zeeks. Give this a quick blast of heat, dry it out. Hopefully everyone's had a great weekend. It's looking pretty good today. Earlier this week, it was about a week ago, we got some rain. Like, unexpected. Like, we don't get rain in summer. And we got a little spot of rain. Just a little splash. But it made the evening seem like it was much more ominous that one evening. This seems like a normal fall evening to me, actually. This looks cool outside right now. I turned the heat off on this because it was getting a bit thin. I added a touch more stock to that. I'm going to turn this back on now, but low. Now that I think we got our pan dried off, we're going to put our stock over here and get that a boiling. We need that stock rolling because we're going to starch thicken this tonight. Make use of that whisk once again tonight. Grab a little metal ramekin. We'll get some cornstarch out here. Up to 101 on pork. Mixing in cold water into our cornstarch. Make this hopefully sort of thick as cream. This is sort of ideal thickness from my understanding. And we'll start stirring in some, though we have to be careful not to over thicken. So we'll let that come back to a boil. Look at how big the bubbles are. No, we want more. Now that's visibly thickened now, and it's visibly glossier now. I'm still going to go thicker. That's looking pretty good there. I think that'll be nice. That'll probably coat a spoon nicely. I'll turn the heat down on that so that it's just at a bubble for a bit. We're going to salt that since I don't season my stocks typically. Salt, pepper, MSG. That'll do. Down to the last 30 seconds on our timer on our gratin. We're up to 109 on the pork. Oh, so you're not a Left 4 Dead fan? Let's see what our gratin is looking like. I don't want the... Keep pulling the cord up from the temperature sensor because I don't want the cord rusting down on the bottom of the oven. So what you're looking at there is my cheddar cauliflower cheddar gratin. We have a bechamel that I used with American cheese. Did a whole, roux thickened with water and half and American cheese. Seasoned that. Added a whole bunch of cheddar cauliflower, or the cheddar colored cauliflower. Chopped that up pretty finely. Tossed that in the bechamel. Put it in, it was in this pan and made the bechamel in this pan. Coated it with breadcrumbs on the top. Coated it with actual cheddar on the top. So this is cheddar here that's mildly cooked through there. And as it's cooling, it's starting to look even better. Potatoes are looking lovely. Those are ready to go as soon as we want to plate them. Our sauce over here. Tasty. Is it thick enough? Sodium citrate, American cheese, or evaporated milk. I use evaporated milk when I make mac and cheese at home. And then just use good cheese. Amazing mac and cheese is just cooked pasta, evaporated milk, and good cheddar away. Well, that's definitely not coating the spoon. It is a little thickened, though. Damn flavorful. Wow, that's good. I'm going to add more starch to this, though. We're going to bring this back up to a boil quickly here. We're up to 118 on the pork. I'm a Gouda fan. Any wine tasting like cheese is great for this, for that. Goat cheeses are good if you want that, like, acidic, like, fresh punch. Use a goat cheese or an Asiago or same thing, but add in the last of this starch before I take a drink. Hi, Vinny. Now that's definitely a thickened sauce, and now we'll cut the heat on that. We're up to 125 on the pork. Again, going to 135 before we pull it out and let it rest. Yeah, we're doing the mystery basket tomorrow, chat. Need everyone in here first thing on tomorrow's stream to vote on which cans I have to make dinner with. I have 25 cans. Well, probably I have at least 20 cans over there. So that is going to be tomorrow evening. I do that around the 15th, whatever lines up with my normal schedule, and the 15th is when we do Can It Be Delicious. Whatever Sunday, Monday, or Friday is closest to the 15th, since Wednesdays are ingredient challenges. What's our current vote looking like? It's been a minute since I've looked at the vote in the Discord. Oops, that's not what I want. Let me fix that. There we go. Now we're not showing me asking LLMs what to use for keywords for tonight's stream. Three more degrees waiting on the pork here. So that'll be out here in just a minute. Off of your first tuple, until I realized there was an R in there, I was thinking scapes. Like onion scapes. One more degree. There we go. I was talking with everyone earlier about different methods you could use to clean up the bones. I'm just going to gnaw on them. But if you want to make your bones all nice and clean, I explained a couple of different ways that you could do that earlier. Whether you want to just scrape it with the back of your boning knife, or you want to use the wreck your sink method. But I think it's make a plate time here. I just don't know what I'm going to use for a plate with all of this craziness. Sorry for bumping the camera there. going to start off with our cheddar gratin. Well, this is mostly to show all of you what things turned out like. That looks pretty rosy in there. Like, light and rosy. Almost looks like corn, even though it's just orange cauliflower and cheese. Still feeling nice and warm too. But I do believe this is where I'm going to leave things for this fine evening. Wish I had a plate that really handled this a bit better. But this is where I'm stuck for tonight. If you call this stuck at all. I hope to see everyone back here first thing for tomorrow's stream. I've still got leftover bread to use with this too, so I'm going to be using some of this sub bread from the other night. Sop up all of that gravy. And we're going to do something with cans tomorrow. New poll up in the Discord about smoking. What's your favorite type of smoking for food? And I hope you all have a lovely wrap up to your weekend and a great start to your Monday. See you tomorrow night, folks. Good night.